Hello everybody, it's your boy, and well, you all know what this video is about. It's about the Christchurch shooting. It says so at the bottom. But basically, a man walked into a mosque and shot up 49 people. This man in particular was a white nationalist, or as he called himself in his manifesto. Yes, he left a manifesto. We'll get into that in a little while later. As an eco-fascist who was just trying to defend Western civilization from the invaders. Ironically, he was an Australian in New Zealand shooting up Muslims, a lot of whom were actually white, if you actually look at the footage. Not many of them were actually non-whites, which is very interesting. Actually kind of defeats the point of this whole racism argument that the left are trying to go with right now. But don't worry, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Now this attack is just barbaric. It goes against everything that Western civilization is actually all about. And to be honest, I find it really ironic that somebody like him, a fascist, thinks he's defending Western civilization when his ideology, although it came from Western civilization, it is a Western concept, goes against the bedrock of Western thought. Liberalism, individualism, the market economy, things like that. So I do find it ironic when these people claim that they're defending Western civilization when really they're trying to precipitate its fall in order to create their own version of it. I mean, this is what they tried to do years and years and years ago. We fought a war over this. But nonetheless, that was his stated goal. Now, immediately in his manifesto, you see a few things that are just, well, they're very eye-opening, and it's also reflected in the live stream. Yes, he live streamed this event. So first, he decided to post on 8chan that he was going to do this. The pole board, of course. I mean, why wouldn't he? And was basically saluting his fellow poltards and saying, alright, it's been good lads, see you later. And then he live streamed the event, basically blasting memes throughout the whole of the journey there, and even during the killing. Apparently, he played Gas, 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 you know, from the soundtrack from Initial D. That's a meme. He played Remove Kebab on the way there, and then just before he locked and loaded, he said, subscribe to PewDiePie, lads. Yeah, I think we're beginning to see something emerge here. And then his manifesto was literally covered and littered with memes. From just your usual stuff to the Navy SEAL meme. He put that in his manifesto. This should raise some eyebrows, but of course, he knew it wasn't going to raise eyebrows because that whole manifesto job was not to outline specifically what he believed, but it was bait. It was pure and simple bait, and all the memes that he said and played in that live stream was to add to the spectacle. To him, it was theatre. That's what he's doing. He's playing a role. His stated goal with this shooting was basically to sow discord, to watch the world burn, to start the fire, because he wasn't going to be around to enjoy watching it burn. I mean, why would he? And what I find interesting was, in his manifesto, he was against nihilist individualism, but ironically, he committed an act of, I guess what he would call nihilistic individualism. He stared into the abyss, and the abyss stared right back into him. I mean, the man is a walking contradiction. For starters, he claims that Candace Owens radicalised him. Candace Owens, a white nationalist, apparently was radicalised by Candace Owens. Everybody knows who Candace Owens is. She's a black conservative, quote unquote. A black conservative, a milquetoast one at that, might not even be one, let's be fair. Nobody really trusts her, apart from, I guess, maybe the people who like her. She apparently radicalised him, and he mentioned PewDiePie and a lot of other things in his manifesto and in the stream. Pure and simple, that was made for bait for the mainstream media, for the far left to jump on, so they can be distracted by that and attack the things that he wants attacked, because he thinks that's going to lead to the world burning and the thing that he wants, which was a race war. Basically, his whole massacre was against a particular group of people, the Muslims, who he knows are high up the progressive stack, probably the most oppressed group to the far left, and he knew that these actions would make them flip their shit and basically take advantage of this and attack our already under pressure freedom and attack the moderates so that we're no longer around. And so he can have his civil war, his race war with the extremists, basically. And yes, they took the bait. They attacked PewDiePie. They attacked Candace Owens. They blamed them for this thing that he did, when really, they're not to blame at all. But I can tell you who is to blame for it. The mainstream media and the far left. Now, how come I can blame them? Well, you see, it's really simple. The mainstream media, and it has been proven empirically, they more often than not actually create the conditions for these types of people to be bred and to do the things that they do. They make it so that these people get fame, that these people get notoriety, they get a platform. Rather than just ignore their identities and not give them that fame, they just push it because it makes money for them. So they breed yet more and more shooters, and this just makes the cycle even worse. Just perpetuates it. Conversely, with the far left, they have both created a culture and an atmosphere of censorship, where basically these people cannot express their views openly and be ridiculed by all of society, so that everybody knows what they think and can thus debate these people or ridicule them. No, instead we should censor them and censor the people who debate them even. Yes, that's going to stop them. That's going to stop the far right. Yeah, that's going to stop ethno-nationalism and ethno-nationalists. Censor them and then censor the people debating them. Specifically the people who are debating them that they don't like because they view them as the same, basically. That's going to solve the problem, and not only are the far left going to do that, they're also going to physically attack these people, and they're going to go after their forums and the websites that they're on that are in the mainstream, like Reddit, Twitter, Discord, you name it. They're going to go after all these people so they're pushed further and further underground. They've done it already with a number of websites. Stormfront is an example of that. These people will be pushed underground. These people won't be able to have an open platform in which to express themselves. They will retreat into their echo chambers, and they will become progressively more black-pilled, progressively more radicalised, and then eventually one will pop up to the surface and do what this idiot did. I mean, he is an idiot. He is an absolute moron. This guy, when you actually look at his face, he's a boomer. Not only is he a boomer, he's a boomer trying to be younger than he actually is. He has gotten to the point, or did get to the point in his life, where all he had was memes and a stupid ideology. This guy literally became what he hated in a way as well. As I mentioned before, he did a nihilistic act. He's supposed to be against all of that. Seriously, womp womp, dude. And the problem is, the mainstream media, as I mentioned before, and the far left have taken the bait. And we're now going to have yet another round of potential censorship and talks about censorship. And in America, because this is what he wanted to do, it's so interesting how he managed to predict it so thoroughly and so well that they even, in America of all places, this speaks more about Americans really, specifically the far left Americans, than it does about the rest of the world. He wanted them to talk about the Second Amendment and gun rights and how this should be something that is debated, because apparently it's the proliferation of guns that caused this. Not the fact that he himself used a tool to go and kill people. He could just have easily have made a bomb. He could easily have used a knife or a sword or any kind of weapon that is legal or illegal. Because judging by the weapon he was using a fully automatic weapon. I don't know if that's legal in New Zealand, but I would hazard a guess that it isn't. So he must have got that gun either legally at one point, then illegally customized it, changed it in some way so that it was fully automatic, so that whatever they used to stop it from being fully automatic, if they did use one of those limiters, I think they're called, he basically got it removed, or he changed the mechanism in some way, which probably, I don't think it's impossible, probably very difficult, but he did it, or he just got it illegally. So it's a black market weapon. Again, we don't know where he got his weapon from. But that's now created a dialogue in America, again, about gun rights. Even though it happened by an Australian in New Zealand. So it was a foreigner attacking other foreign people, and somehow this has something to do with America. This has something to do with the rest of the Western world. God, these people are stupid. This has nothing to do with America. In fact, some ethno-nats as well have been saying, oh, it's just revenge for all the things that Muslims have done in the West, like Rotherham. Like, really? That's such a retarded statement to make. Firstly, he's not British, and even if he did, that's stupid. Why isn't he doing something about the situation in New Zealand or Australia? Why is he not doing anything about that? It just boggles the mind. And now here is where we get into the interesting borderline conspiracy theory side of things, because Aiden Paladin made it okay for me to say so, because she also mentioned this in the video, but I was going to say so anyway. Basically, things don't add up about this guy, because the way I see it, and she pretty much said it the best, there's three ways you can see it. He's either a complete schizophrenic psychopath guy who probably didn't even know what he was doing mentally and just went out and killed a load of people because he was spending too much time on Paul and became not even necessarily black-pilled, warp-pilled, as she said it. The second one is that he is what he says he is, an eco-fascist who wanted to kill people to precipitate the fall of Western civilization, so I guess something could be built from the ashes. I don't know what they're going to rebuild, because fascist states have never worked. And then the third one is it could be potentially be a psyop, where this man basically went in, killed a load of people to create discord for the globalists, I guess one could say. Personally, I think it might be somewhere in between, potentially. We don't know, I don't know, but things just don't add up. Firstly, he's a walking, talking stereotype of everything that the left think that, I guess you could argue, the free speech advocates are, their ideological opponents, the anti-SJWs, you know. All the memes are there, his way of speaking, the way he looks, everything. He's a walking, talking stereotype of the typical meme lord. You can't get around that. It's almost an artificial creation. He's too good to be true. He can't possibly be a real person. And again, when I look at him, I see somebody, if it is a legit thing, if it is truly who he is, he's a tryhard. That's exactly the type of thing a poser would say to get in with the crowd. Especially an older one, but I don't know. Not only that, his Twitter, which apparently was only a month old, and was posting nothing but things about terrorism and, I guess, his ideology, quote unquote. And also the fact that his manifesto wasn't much of a manifesto. It was bait and it was full of memes. It wasn't something like Elliot Rodger, where basically he outlined his whole belief system and why he's doing what he did. I guess he did say why he was doing this, but again, it was full of memes. It wasn't a serious manifesto, if you can even call it that. And also the fact that the reaction was exactly what he wanted. It's almost too good to be true. But I don't know. I don't want to go conspiratorial on this. People have died, regardless of who they are, and regardless of what they think. Because yes, Islam is a problem for the West. However, you don't go about sorting these problems out by shooting who are sensibly innocent. These people did nothing wrong to him. Who knows what they've actually done? Apparently it was on a campus. These people could easily have just been the most milquetoast Muslims. You know, they pray 5 times a day and that's about it. There was probably an event going on for everybody. Who knows? It might not all have been Muslim. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. The point is that innocents have died, and that doesn't help your goal at all. In fact, killing innocents makes you lose the war, to quote Six Hexenhammer's recent video on that. Like, he's not thinking if it is legit. He's not thinking as a strategist. He's thinking as nothing more than a reactionary idiot. This is the type of thing that people who don't know how to do strategy do things. You don't go around and start killing innocents unless you can kill the whole group, which one man is not going to do. And I don't think he's strong enough or charismatic enough to become the next Hitler and basically organise the whole of New Zealand to genocide the Muslim population. No, he's not going to be able to do that. I can tell you that for a fact. So in the end, he has won one battle that he was probably always going to win because he's got the superior firepower, and has lost the war. Because now the moderates and his side are going to get further censored over a knee-jerk reaction, or a reaction that was always going to happen. Who knows? I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on. I don't particularly want to pontificate and virtue signal. People have died. These people didn't deserve to die. They did nothing wrong. This guy is a moron. Good riddance. That's one less cunt in the world. That's one less nihilist, black-pilled faggot to have to deal with on the internet. Because that's what he is. He's just a stupid faggot, you know? Like, only the most black-pilled idiot could possibly do such a thing. And the thing is, these types of people are increasing in number. It's a spectrum, don't get me wrong. You've got your black-pilled idiots like the Metallica fans and Metallica himself. Then you've got people like him and the rest in the middle. And I remember, I don't want to... Oh, well, I guess I can say this. But I'm on a Discord server with True Deal Tom, and he posted a message from a guy who is so black-pilled he's suicidal. He's not going to kill anybody, thankfully. Basically mentally ill anyway. He has autism, things like that. And he was so worried about the Western civilization that he knows and loves being destroyed that it's driving him mental and suicidal and sad and ill, and people need to realise that although it's bad and it will get worse before it gets better, that's the thing, isn't it? It'll get worse before it gets better. You have to have hope and realise that culture wars take years. For all we know, it could last 50 years and all of us could be dead by the time it ends. I don't think that's going to be the case, but these things are long and drawn out affairs, and I think we're going to win because we have the better ideas, the better argument. Don't get black-pilled. Try to avoid the echo chambers as best as you can. Create new open platforms so that debate and free speech can be saved. That's all we can really do against these people. We need to create an open society. This is what people like Karl Popper, people like John F. Kennedy knew. They knew that an open society, a true open society, could defeat all forms of extremism. So anyway, I'm waffling on now, guys. So until next time, don't give up hope. Fuck this idiot. Sympathy for the families of the victims and the wounded. Until next time, I'll see you later.